Hello everyone, today we are going to start from scratch the deployment of a SEAPATH cluster. The start point will be the SEAPATH architecture repository. This is the URL. What it will tell you is that you need to choose whether you want to use the Yocto version or the Debian version. After that, you'll have to deploy the servers with the dedicated instructions. Then you have to create a cluster network to connect your nodes and then to deploy the configuration with the Ansible repository. Let's choose the Debian version and follow the instruction. For Debian, we have to use the build Debian ISO repository. This repository will tell us that it's as simple as using a simple command. But first we have to do some mandatory customization. Let's do that then. For that, for the building, we need a server with a Docker, basically, only prerequisite. We are going to go to a directory. We are going to clone the repo. Let's start up. Sorry about that. We are going to clone the repo, start from scratch, go to the repo, follow the direction. So we have to copy this file, the default file, to the file that's going to be the actual configuration. So let's go to the folder and copy the file, the default file, into the real file, and then edit this file with our settings. We can change the time zone, we can change the key map, we can change the root password, which by default will be Toto. It's not recommended to change the username for now because Ansible relies on this specific username. But so let's keep Virtu. You can change the password if you want. It's still Toto in that case. You may change, but still not recommended to change the Ansible username, which will be the username used by the Ansible server to deploy the configuration. And then you can set your credentials. So basically the SSH key that will be used for root, for Virtu, and for Ansible. For our use case, let's try with let's try with one and only SSH key for everything, just for our demonstration that will do the job. Let me show you how you change the key. So we have the users, we have the credentials, and to connect to the server. So first, the proxy is useful if you're in an enterprise network and you need some proxy to access the internet. Otherwise, it will go directly to the internet. And this is the CDN, so the Debian public repo that it will use. You can change them too if you want. And if you want the machine to be already configured for networking, you can set the network here. So for instance, let's use this networking plan, let's say 111 and in 24 and a remote gateway. Yeah, let's use one. This will be configured in the ISO file. So basically we'll be able to access the machine with this networking just after deployment. We could also use the HCP. Once it's been set and you're happy with your configuration, go to the folder where you want the ISO file stored and run this command. So in our case, it's this simple command. It will download everything it needs to create the bootable OS that will burn on a USB key, and then it will download all the packages it will need to install the actual OS for deployment. It's gonna take around 6 or 7 minutes, so we're gonna wait a bit. Okay, so the build has just finished. Let's keep note of the file that has been generated, this one, And with no transition, live, we are going to copy this file to another server and try to deploy it on a VM. Of course, in the real world, you will have to use a real physical server, but for our test, we just want to be sure this this ISO is working and show you how the deployment is working also. So, do I have a VM somewhere? Let's find the VM. Up. There it is. So we're going to find this VM. We are going to use this file, which is, of course, the same as the one we had before. And of course, it's not the same. What's happening there? Okay, sorry. Let's find the exact same file. There. So we have the file which just generated. We're in home virtu, seapath.iso. Let's run the VM and see how the deployment is going. So you don't have to touch anything. It should start by itself. And with no interaction, it should deploy the server and reboot it. Okay, that's going to take a few minutes. So we're going to wait a bit once more. Yeah, boot the OS. And notice that everything has been deployed correctly. There. So by default, Toto, T-O-T-O, is the password, and everything has been deployed correctly. And like I said, even the networking has been done. So that means that without even having to connect to the server with the console, technically you can go to the IP address you set in the settings, use Toto as password, and this is a server. So the idea is to do that on 3 different servers, change the IP of the IP address every time, of course, so that they don't overlap, and then go on with the procedure, which is to create a cluster network. But that will be for another video.